Hello, mystical light beings, and welcome to Lena Mystic once again. If you're here and you're new, go ahead and subscribe. We make great content here. High vibrational content that focuses on spiritual awakening, spiritual signs, and synchronicities. Today, I want to share with you guys a story about myself. I just wanted to share with you because it may be extremely enlightening for you as well. You know, I'm very focused on introspection and spirit rebuilding, spirit renewing, and healing. So I want to share that experience with you all as well. One of these days I was struggling, going through kind of like a trigger emotionally and even spiritually. And while I'm going through frustration, the anger, the disabled peace, I noticed a cardinal appeared. I really, for the life of me, couldn't figure out why I was so stuck. It literally wrote into the next morning, and that's nothing like me. Like, I do not have things that roll into the next day or roll into the next morning. So I was like, okay, this is triggering me. Why? Why is it triggering me? I can't figure it out. I was getting frustrated. I cannot figure it out. I got it. Going crazy. And when I sat down, meditated, meditation was still chaotic. I did yoga, I was still disabled with my peace. And there was no peace there. It was all just anger and frustration, annoyance. And when I sat down on my couch, I looked out, I saw a cardinal. And I felt the message of the cardinal as it looked me in my eyes. It said, give yourself more compassion and stop rushing yourself. You do not need to rush your healing. At that same moment, the chorus from the song, You Can't Rush Your Healing, started playing on my Alexa. At this point, I was in shock. But I wasn't completely in shock. I was more so at peace. And I was like, I'm not going through this alone. And that's when I realized that God was there within me throughout this whole moment, just trying to get me to relax for a moment and to remember that triggers are normal. Triggers happen, but the best thing is just to identify it, to figure out why it's bothering you. And I also realized that I wasn't giving myself the proper love and compassion that I deserved in that moment because I was rushing myself. I started to think about how Rome wasn't built in a day and how sunflowers take like 120 days to grow. And I saw myself and imagined myself as that sunflower. And as the song was still playing, You Can't Rush Your Healing, I started to smile and I was like, God, you really do work in mysterious ways and you show up at the most needed times, but sometimes I don't hear you because I'm rushing myself. So while I wasn't rushing myself anymore and I decided to begin my healing, I felt completely immersed in God's presence. And I also realized that as ethereal as I might be, as magical as I may be, and everlasting as I may be, just like Rome wasn't built in a day, neither am I. And I cannot rush my growth. That's the same for those of us that want to rush our spiritual awakenings when we enter them. Take your time. The way you are building yourself now will create a long-term impact. So if you're rushing yourself through this healing, then you're gonna rush yourself through everything, through your happiness, through your joy. It becomes a habit. I started to breathe in deeply. And I started trusting that God is in every single part of me as a reminder to love myself in every moment, to not see myself tainted or dirty or filthy because I feel feelings and emotions such as anger, deplete, and frustration while I'm working through my trauma and my trauma forgiveness. So I pulled out my copy of Healer's Work to Heal. You know, I kept seeing it in my third eye. I was like, okay, I see it. I need to work on the book again. I got it. So I pulled out my book and I found myself on page 60. And page 60 starts off saying, face the darkness to find the light within. And then I'm like, God, you're really here. I feel you, I sense you, I know that you're here because all of these messages are aligned. And those of you who don't know, Healer's Work to Heal is focusing on trauma forgiveness and triggers and healing and self-love. It's a workbook that you can document things in and you can also read from it to learn how to heal as well. And it's a complete guide basically to this forgiveness process, this trauma forgiveness process. So in that moment, after I saw face the darkness to find the light within, I realized that although in that moment I felt stuck in an unhappy, uncomfortable, and even unpeaceful state, I was still completely aligned because I was focusing on my healing, because I was conscious that I needed to focus on my healing. That was also a revealing moment that I noticed that when my peace is disturbed, that is when I need to reserve time for my healing. That is a huge sign in synchronicities that is saying, stop, focus, heal, renew, release. And I noticed that I was ready to embark on this journey of this new stage of enlightenment, this awakening and this growth process. I continued to read page 60 after I took that deep breath, and I really just laughed at God like, wow, you're really, really here. And I can hear you because I stopped rushing myself. It was insane. It was such a aligned moment, such a beautiful moment, such a powerful, impactful moment. And when I got around the line, one of the last lines on that page, it said, your pain needs to be heard. That was another one. That moved me so much to begin documenting my feelings in the book on the next couple of pages. Once you turn it a couple of pages, you can start writing a letter. And that's what I did. I was inspired to write in my copy, again, my workbook, and it was beautiful. I remember feeling all of this anger, this frustration, and all these other emotions. And then I started to feel free. While I was feeling these emotions that we call negative or bad emotions, I felt free, embracing it with introspection. I felt like for once I was accepting those pieces of me that I ignore, that I suppress. And I felt like all the expectations to be free at all times of every day had washed away. And I feel like that is when I completely started to love myself. In that moment, I started to completely love myself once again. And that was another awakening for me. I was immersed in love because I had this complete unconditional love for myself through acceptance. In that moment, I felt like God was proud of me, looking at me saying, wow, that's powerful. And you're doing exactly what you should be, processing your feelings, processing your trauma. I felt like I had finally accepted myself without limits or expectations. And the love within me, I could feel literally spiritually, I could feel the love within me grow like a seedling overnight. Within that moment, I became awakened to the fact that I can honestly grow once I plant the seeds of acceptance, of love, compassion, patience, and all the other fruits of the spirit. But I must first, to do all of these things, I must first acknowledge all of the truest, most honest feelings within myself and all that I am. I must accept all of the forms of myself, working through the ones that I do not like, working through the ones that are uncomfortable, and consciously identifying these areas that I don't want to grow within me anymore. So that anger, I didn't want to harvest that anger anymore. I don't want to keep it. So I had to consciously acknowledge it for what it was and how it made me feel less of myself. And I had to hear it. I had to listen to that anger, document that anger, and allow it to speak so that I could hear it through the depths of my soul. My soul needed to be acknowledged. So I took that time to acknowledge it. What are these things that you're holding on to, you're harboring, you're harvesting, you're growing, that are making me feel less of myself, from moments that made me feel less than myself? I noticed that too long I'd been harboring and growing these emotions and hanging on to them, and they were literally disabling all that I am. They were disabling the light within me because the darkness had begun to grow too much because I ignored it for too long, and it was unknowingly controlling me through present forms of triggers. Triggers began to control me. They were beginning to control me because I hadn't acknowledged them. I hadn't listened to them. I wasn't being conscious with them. I was literally stuck in survival mode, and I was enlightened that just recently I was stuck in survival mode again. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging those things. So acknowledge how you feel. Face how you feel. Listen to how you feel. Give love to how you feel, guys. Give love to it. The God in me was highlighted in that moment and revealed to me the desires for me to give more compassion and love and freedom to myself. But the only way to do that sometimes is to make way by thoroughly identifying and looking at and working with the rage that I was experiencing that was buried within my soul. I had to face it so that I could authentically release it. I had to identify the root cause of these triggers, the root cause of my personal power being stripped away from me, so that I could identify how to release it. And that's what I just did again. And sometimes you're gonna face these things all over again. Sometimes they're gonna highlight all over again because you're in a different phase of your life. That's expected. We all go through things that are heavy. But we think that just ignoring them lifts the weight. But it just gets stored somewhere. We become to think that it's a part of us, and it's not. It's not a healthy part of us. So really face it, listen to it, and then release it. I hope that this video found those that it was meant to, and I hope that this video helps you all. If you've gone through traumatic things and you find yourself being triggered and your personal power being stripped, please put a green heart in the comment section below so that we can give our love to you and share our love with you and some healing and some peace. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you really enjoyed this video and if it helped you, then please go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. And I will see you guys in another video. See ya.